It took like 1.5 year, sorry, 1.5 year for my parents to actually convince me to go abroad. Every student who goes to US, for undergrad or postgrad is lucky to explore what you want to do.
So, hi Nidhi, welcome to the Yocket Connect series.
Hi, Shaunak.
I would first want to understand can you please tell us about some background of yours before you went for your UG abroad? What activities were you doing and how was your college life like?
Oh, so this is a very, very good question. So, I was 17 or 16 years old when I started preparing for this. Or I was like, okay, I have to prepare for this. When I was 16 or 17, that was the time when I got introduced to the curriculum of SAT and everything. So my life was very, very different. Like I was completely busy with my college life. I was doing very well in my extracurricular activities. I was an art student at Jehin College at Churchgate. So it's like a very cosmopolitan and wonderful college. So I was enjoying the activities as well as I was a very good student. I was a topper at Jehin College in my 11th and 12th grade, and I was a topper like in all the subjects like which I took. So I was doing very, very well in my acads as well as extracurricular. So my life was very kind of sorted, like I was working hard. Like I would say I was working on my academics. I was working hard on my academics, and then I was also doing extracurriculars. I was hanging around with friends, enjoying life in my free time, right? So it was very nice. And like before I got introduced to SAT, I was like completely not ready for it. Like I was like, this is too intense for me, and this is very different than what I'm used to. I started studying for it, but I was like, initially I was not serious and everything. And eventually I understood that, okay, my parents kept on pushing me. It took like 1.5 year, sorry, 1.5 year for my parents to actually convince me to go abroad. So that's how my journey for study abroad basically started. Yeah.
What was your biggest worry back then when you were planning to go for your undergrad abroad?
My biggest worry was that I don't want to leave my college. Like I was studying at Jehin College. I was like completing my 11th and 12th over there. And as I said, I was doing very well at that point of time. So I didn't want to leave my comfort zone. I was happy with what I was doing in India. So I didn't want to basically leave my comfort zone and then get out and just live a tough life. First of all, SAT was like an atom bomb for me, SAT. When it was dropped on me, I was like, oh, like this is like an atom bomb, right? I was like that. Yeah, it was like that. And then after that I was like, oh my god, how life is going to get tougher. That was my major concern, that how will I go out of this comfort zone, the protected shell that I am in, and then just face the real world. It's going to be so like scary at the age of 18, 17, where you have no experience living without family. And I had lived in that house where I was living. I had lived in that house for all my life. I had not even switched my house since I was a child. I was born in that house, I was raised in that house where I was living in Bombay. So imagine a girl who has not even left her house since she's a child. And then for her, like going out of the country is going to be so like challenging. So those were the main kind of things which I had. I think that's a concern which almost everybody has at that age, right, as a teenager.
I want to understand now which was the course that you pursued for your undergrad in the US and which was this university where you finally ended up going to.
I pursued basically my bachelor's in political science and global studies. So yeah, I kind of did a double major in the United States, but eventually I did not go for political science and global studies. I went for economics initially because, as I told you, like I was an art student, and my dad told me that once we receive the results for your 12th grade, then we'll just decide on what major you can go for. And then I was good at all the subjects. I received like amazing, marks, like grades, I would say, in all the subjects. So then my dad said economics would be a good field. Basically you can just do your bachelor's and then you can go for a master's in like econometrics, go for a PhD and something like that, or maybe work in a bank as an economist. That was the kind of plan which I had, and I was good at economics. So in the first year I went for economics, and then I realized, okay, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I like economics but I don't love it. And there's a difference between like and love. That's what I understood at that time. Okay. So and then I switched to psychology for some time, because I was like, okay, this is the study of human behavior is something which is very interesting to me, and it is still very interesting to me. But then political science and global studies was something which drove me. So I did political science and global studies. I was very fortunate that, like US, one good thing about US is that you get the flexibility. You can change majors, right? You can, if they are related, like, because all my majors were related to social sciences, like economics, psychology, political science. So it was easy for me to transfer the credits from one subject to another. After I completed like my bachelor's in political science and global studies, I felt very accomplished and very fulfilled, that okay, I have taken the right kind of decision. When you go to US, the very, very good thing about US is that you're going to get flexibility, right? You're going to be very happy that you have this thing where you can actually switch your majors, where you can actually decide for yourself, right? And the universities that I applied for were like North Dakota State University. Then I applied for a university in Ohio, University of Toledo. Then I applied for a university in Florida, I think University of South Florida. Then there was a university in California. So these were the 4 or 5 universities that I applied to. And then I received, and yeah, Mississippi as well. Sorry, I forgot Mississippi. So I received an admission letter from almost all the universities except Mississippi State University. I got admitted to all the universities, and the highest amount of scholarship that I got was from North Dakota and Toledo. So at that time, most of my friends were going to North Dakota. The ones who were studying with me were going to North Dakota. So at that age, you get very easily influenced. So I decided to go for North Dakota because I had 50% scholarship. And my dad was very clear that if you're going for undergrad, you have to have a scholarship, don't, so that you should feel that kind of, pride that, I did things by myself, you become independent, you become more focused, right? That, okay, I'm doing things by myself. And then when you go on a scholarship, you have to maintain specific amount of grades, right? So you become more independent, you become more focused and all that at a young age, right? You feel, and you ultimately you feel proud about it when you did things by yourself, right?
What were the things that you did over there once you landed in the US that helped you comfort a bit, that helped you feel like at home?
So one thing I did was where I went, North Dakota was completely out of the league. I think even you might have not heard about North Dakota so far, right? So it was completely, way out. So I went over there where, hardly, there were like I think 100,000 people in the city, that's it. So it was a very small city to what we are used to compared to, India. 100,000 is nothing in India. That's just one area. The one thing that I did like to, comfort, I think myself, was actually a little bit to connect with the Indian people in North Dakota, the Indian community over there. That was kind of comforting. For some time I tried to connect with them. I tried to celebrate festivals. I tried to, basically, like have go to their house. At that point, I did not know how to cook. So I went to their house. I had Indian food with them and everything. So that was something that I did for some time. But after that, like initially, I started, mingling with the local people. I tried to understand the culture of United States, right? How things work in United States, and I tried to assimilate myself, right, in the culture of United States and everything. I think the main thing I would mention over here was that I completely went out of my comfort zone. Like, when people go to US from India, I think the most common places are like California, New York, Florida, Texas, or Arizona, all these kind of places. That's what comes to your mind, okay? But North Dakota was like completely out of the way. So I went like completely out of my comfort zone. Like nobody was around me. Like nobody that I knew was around me.
So I want to understand from you, how much time would you recommend should a student put in their SAT preparation, and what is the best time to begin SAT preparations?
So for SAT, I would say it's best when you start, when you're in your 11th grade, because you generally go after your 12th grade, right? So you can get more, the thing is, I would suggest give it like 4 to 6 months. 3 months is good time, obviously. You can still prepare very well. You can give your exams. But if you give 4 to 6 months, you have more time, you can actually prepare more. And SAT and is not one kind of exam where you feel like, okay, I can do this. This is just English and math, It's not like that. It's actually very different from what we are used to in India. The education system is like very, very different. So I would suggest that students should start studying for it or preparing for it when they're in the 11th grade, because it's easier. If suppose, you give your attempt, okay, you give your first attempt and you don't end up scoring that well, you can give it again, and then you can, still manage. But if you start your preparations in 12th or after 12th, then it gets difficult when you come to 12th grade. Things get difficult. You have to give your board exams, and there's so many pressures. In India, 10th and 12th is like the biggest thing of life, right? So it's like there's nothing larger than life. It's like I'm being very honest. That's what I have realized, that 10th and 12th grade is larger than life in India. So just to keep things simple, start in your 11th grade and then start studying like at the beginning, so that you can give 4 to 6 months, and you don't. And every day you can just study for 1 or 2 hours. Every day 1 or 2 hours is more than enough. If you're giving 4 to 6 months, 1 or 2 hours is enough, and then you can get more time. But studying on a consistent basis is very important. Rather than just studying at the end and squeezing it at the end. Okay, I'll do this at the end, kind of a thing.
I want to understand another thing. If I have to ask you to recall your 4 years of undergrad, what were the qualities, if you could list certain qualities that you kept learning as years progressed, that maybe were non-existent before you entered the undergrad life, and once you passed out after the 4 years, what were the qualities that you felt you developed that are still helping you?
That's a very good and intense question. That's a very, very good question. So the thing is, I think I learned survival. I think, Arvind, that's the biggest thing that I learned, that to be on your own and to be fine with it. To be independent. Like you have to be independent financially. That's what I learned. Be it a girl or a boy. In fact, I feel for women it's even more important now to be financially independent and even emotionally independent. Like I learned that you have to learn to be happy by yourself in your life. So if you are happy by yourself, only then you can keep other people happy, or like you can perform well in life. That's what I feel, right? So that is one of the things that I learned. The other thing that I learned is consistency, because Indian education system is very much like rote learning. Like you just kind of memorize everything and just go for your exams. Okay, if the exam is next week, you just start preparing today, right? And then you give your exam. So we have this thing of procrastinating, because we have this exam after 2 months. We won't study right now. Most of the people, I'm not saying all of them, but we don't take it right now. Oh, we have 2 months, let's do it next month, let's do it like and 1 week before the exam we just start studying, like so it's not like that. In the United States, you have to keep on being consistent. You have to study every day, because like when you take a course, your everyday effort counts. Like how many classes are you attending. They actually have marks for attendance for individual classes, right? It's not like overall attendance. So you have to attend those classes, get those points, and then you have points for completing assignments on like a daily or weekly basis. It's not like that, right? And then you have exams, like in those 4 months you have 4 exams to complete. So you have to be very consistent. You can't be like, oh, there's just one final exam, I'll study during that time and I'll get my grades. You have to be very consistent. So that's what I learned, that in life, rather than procrastinating everything and doing everything together, it's better to be more disciplined and do things on a regular basis rather than that. So that is one of the things that I learned. And independence is the, I think, biggest ultimate thing that I learned. Independence in terms of being by yourself and being happy, which in India we don't. I'm sorry, I'm repeating this, but yeah, like being by yourself and being happy, sometimes we don't recognize that in India. We don't feel good about it. We have to be with people. We have to have someone. That is what I learned by being over there, that you have to be independent within yourself and happy by yourself.